anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That was the magic of Tiger to me. Why did my mom care about when Tiger was playing? Because you might see something with every shot that you've never seen before. And that was, to me, the magnetic quality. And those guys have a little bit of that, but there aren't a ton of them. So to have those guys in the mix on the big weeks is great for the game.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Plays, the NBA playoff ratings are through the roof. We've got two ESPN basketball broadcasters in Ryan Rucco and Chinea Ogwumike joining us to weigh in on NBA playoffs and more. Hello and welcome into Front Office Sports today from our FOS studio in New York City. I'm Renee Washington.
And I'm Baker Machado. Thanks again for joining us during our big premiere week, everyone. Every weekday, of course, Renee and I are going to chat about some of the biggest stories in sports and culture. And yes, guys, there is more Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson drama we're going to get to later. But first, Renee, let's kick things off with some of the other headlines we're watching in the shoot-around. All right, and let's start with some big news in some hockey updates as Seattle has been named the next professional women's hockey league expansion franchise. This for the upcoming 2025-26 season. They're going to share a home with the NHL's Kraken over at the Climate Pledge Arena. Along with Vancouver, the PWHL Seattle franchise will be the first expansion team to join the inaugural 6 markets. An official name, by the way, has not been announced. Meanwhile, in the NHL, the Utah Hockey Club may have accidentally announced their team name, as there was a slip-up on YouTube that fans had quickly noticed that the channel was changed to Utah Mammoth. However, the club is not commenting on this and reportedly won't announce the name until June. Now, Mammoth was one of 3 options presented to fans for a vote, including the Utah Hockey Club, which I like, in addition to the Utah Outlaws as well, Renee.
Well, I don't like the fact we're getting more and more reports of prank calls from the NFL draft, Baker. Now, Abdul Carter is the latest to say he received the prank call. The only caller we know of is Jax Ulbrich, the son of Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, who called Shedeur Sanders. Now, the league has fined Atlanta $250,000. Jeff was fined $100,000. And as the Falcons issued a statement, they said that they're confident in their security policies and also just how they emphasize adherence to them with their staff and making sure that they're doing their due diligence. The league also put out a statement saying how the Falcons did not follow protocol. Now, over on the hardwood, there's more NBA playoff ratings that are in. Of the 11 games that aired on ESPN or ABC, there was an average of 4.45 million viewers. But what has helped the NBA playoffs? 13% increase in viewership from last year? Let's get into that with our first guest of the show in our main event. We now welcome in NBA, WNBA, and college hoops broadcaster with ESPN, Ryan Rucco, Mr. You Bet himself. Ryan, listen, right now as we're looking at the first round of playoffs, we were just talking about the ratings, the numbers. We've seen 36 games, 21 of them have come down to 10 or less points. But despite all of that, we have 2 sweeps, 2 gentlemen sweeps. Is this year's first round playoff showing us that individual games, whether it's, the thrillers, the controversial calls, are just as important, if not more important, than even the standings and the records of the series itself?
Yeah, Renee, I think that's a great point, because I think one of the things I think we always underrate when it comes to ratings is how competitive the games are. We talk about stars and we talk about matchups, and of course that matters, and that is always going to raise your floor and your ceiling, right? When you have certain teams and you have certain stars in the games. But then a lot of what happens in that middle and that variance comes from, are the games good or not? And just think about your own habits as a viewer. You are much more likely to stay with a game that's a single possession game, even if it's a 3-0 series or a 3-1 series or a 2-0 series, than you are a 30-point blowout in a 2-2 series, right? Like you're going to be much more compelled to stick with that game. And I think that's what we've had in this first round. We have had very competitive, exciting games with scintillating finishes, unbelievable shot making. And then even though, a lot of the series have not gone deep, at least not yet, the games have been so good that I think they've drawn in the viewers and been able to keep them.
Ryan, I'd love to get your thoughts yesterday on the Giannis, Tyrese Halliburton dad situation. Obviously, it seems like it's ended okay. Everybody sort of like has had a kumbaya moment at the end, but I'm curious your thoughts on sort of still protecting the fan experience and what makes the NBA amazing, but also sort of protecting the players at the same time. Are you concerned about this based off of what happened yesterday?
Well, I mean, I think, the NBA takes its security very seriously, which, we're all grateful for. So I'm sure there's going to be some sort of reemphasis on, hey, whoever you're allowing on the floor at the end of a game can't be doing that. I mean, obviously what Tyrese's dad did was completely and totally unacceptable. And that's what Tyrese said as well, right? I do feel grateful that all parties seem to come to a conclusion and an understanding of, it being inappropriate and accepting apologies and moving on from there, because emotions were obviously running high. And then look, not from the security standpoint, which is first and foremost the most important thing in a situation like that, but just from an entertainment standpoint, I do think what happened with the Pacers and what happened with Tyrese Halliburton is significant and good for continuing to build on the interest and excitement around him and around the Pacers. And so when you add sort of entertainment layers, not ones that put anybody's safety at risk or cross the line like last night, that all I think is really good for business.
Ryan, I'm curious your thoughts. Was this our last time, in your opinion, seeing Giannis in a Bucks jersey?
I think it's up to Giannis. And I don't know what he will want to do. I think it's interesting because his teammate, Damian Lillard, you can look at as a cautionary tale, right? Now, he had a breakdown with management that made Portland feel, I think, less, enticing than it had been for the majority of his career. But would he be enjoying playing in Portland, even if they're barely scraping into the play-in or the playoffs or not at all, more than what's happened these 2 years in Milwaukee trying to win a championship? He probably would, right? Like the Portland experience, the franchise that was in his soul, probably would offer more. And I think you can say something similar as, a potential path for Giannis. He's already won this team a championship. He's going to go down as the greatest player in franchise history in all likelihood because of the longevity in this place. If he were to stay, there's no guarantee for Giannis to go somewhere else and compete. So I think it's kind of up to him. If I was the Bucks, I'd be kind of, caught in the middle as well, because the reality is they don't have the roster flexibility nor the draft assets to be able to compete as currently constructed. They just don't. It's not going to happen over the next 2 or 3 years. But that doesn't mean having an all-time great star at the core of your team who draws fans every night and still makes you a 40 to 47 win team is a bad thing, right? It just means you don't have a legitimate shot at winning a championship. So I think it's a tough decision for Giannis. If he has an inkling to just want to experience something else, now is the time. And he's kind of flirted with the idea of big markets publicly in the past. So now would be the time, because he's not going to compete for a championship for at least a few years in Milwaukee with how barren the coffers are.
Okay, so Ryan, we also got to ask you about the WNBA as well. Some new advancements that ESPN is doing when it comes to exhibition games. We've got a lot of Fever games that you're going to be covering as well. What are your thoughts on this, and also the fact that the Fever are selling out arenas across the country? They're even promoting this as every game now is a home game. I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, I love the Fever leaning all the way into their popularity and not being ashamed of it or shy about it. this is the reality of the situation. And as someone who is, boots on the ground, so to speak, at these arenas and witnessing what Caitlin brings and what we've seen at Fever Games, from over last year and what we're expecting this year. I mean, this is the reality that her fan base travels and then her fan base expands to whatever team she's a part of and the players on that team as well. And I think it's awesome the way ESPN has continued to invest more and more in this property. And I think that, ESPN has always been at the forefront of this, but has continued to say, how can we get better? How can we do more? How can we grow this? So I love the idea of us being in Iowa, getting to broadcast the preseason game on ESPN this coming weekend and see what it's like as Caitlin goes back to, where she created so many thrills for those fans. I think it's going to be a great first look for a lot of fans at their team. And, the spectacle of Caitlin being back at Carver Hawkeye is going to be pretty incredible.
It absolutely will. Thank you again, Ryan, for that and for your time as well. We appreciate it.
You got it. No problem.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable at 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum in the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyzed the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Garth, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We've got Chiney Ogwumike, another ESPN basketball analyst in the house, joining Baker to talk about her women-focused production company, her comedy series on the W, and Stephen A. Smith's potential presidential run. All that right here.
So we're very excited to be joined here in studio by Chiney Ogwumike. Chiney, great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Big news that you are now involved with your production company in a 30-minute scripted comedy series. I mean, this is crazy.
I know. I still have to pinch myself that this is real life, especially considering that it's about kind of my real life, loosely based on our experiences, myself and Allison Gaylor, my longtime agent and business partner. But it's necessary. One of the things that I've told people is that we're taking the main topic, which is women's sports, to the mainstream. That is the vision of Victorious, our company. And now, everyone knows the nature of the business, especially in Hollywood. That's where I'm based. We swung on our first chance at a scripted series, and we hit a home run. And so I'm super excited, and it's still surreal.
So tell us a little bit more about this. It's a 30-minute comedy show, but it's about, you mentioned you and your agent, but it's also about the WNBA. It's about a bunch of different things.
Yeah, so it's the first look we've ever seen, a historic first look into the WNBA, which is a women's sports league of modern times. I know people know the League of Their Own type of history, but this is a modern look at what it's like to be a female athlete at this historic, momentous time to be a women's basketball player. And so it's based off of our world. And one thing I've realized is that oftentimes we see these stories in sports, like, guys, it's like Ballers, or it's like Hustle, or it's Entourage, right? When you think about the real world aspect, no one knows what it's like to be a woman in this business and hustle. So you might see like LeBron James sit courtside, you're like, oh, he's so cool, wearing all the cool things. But then I might be a couple seats next to him, sitting courtside, enjoying an event. People don't know what it took for us to get there. We might need to know the security guard, play hoops and pickup, and like build relationships to get opportunity. And so we've seen many projects take, root and do successfully, like Running Point. But we were very excited that our perspective will be the players' perspective, because these players are captivating hearts and minds, from Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson, Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins. I know what it's like to want to achieve at the highest level, but then, the amount of scrutiny in this moment, it's straight comedy. Like, honestly, we thought, this is the crazy thing, we thought that like our world was a drama. All I do was watch dramas. Then we started realizing, there's a wider perspective that might bring people in so that they can be educated to who we are. So it's been a long process, even for us to understand that our life is not a joke, it's real.
Totally.
But now to have the validation that we are here, we've arrived, we have a scripted show. It's based on the league, it's based on the W, and it's meant to uplift our game. Even if you just come in for the vibes, here for it.
Right. By the way, do we have a platform for this? It's Peacock, right?
Yeah, Peacock.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what made Peacock the perfect place for this to be a part of?
Well, first and foremost, I'm just really grateful that Disney and ESPN, they all understood that, hey, we have like a certain inventory. We are experts at live sports. As you know, Chiney, you are working them on both NBA, WNBA, women's college basketball. But if there's a home that is really suited for this, go pursue it. Because, what I have found is that NBC is making a real push, as we all know, in the basketball space, back with the rights for the NBA and even women's professional basketball, the WNBA. And coming off of the success of the Olympics, especially women's basketball, they've done doc features on Juju Watkins. And so I don't want to spill too much tea. I have my people here, but like we went in there and I've never had to like pitch a show before, and we did it with all the biggest of the big, and they were like instant, like we see it, we get it, we love it, we want to invest in it. And so their passion for the project has really just, we all feel like we're on the same team. And I'm grateful to have, a team at ESPN and Disney that understands that I can pursue my dreams, even sometimes a little bit with like a neighboring partner.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense, especially for ESPN, given the fact that you just signed a big new deal last year, and a lot of the people who are signing big deals, Stephen A. Smith included, have bigger, larger production deals that allows them to do all of these things on the outside. How sort of important was that when you were in your negotiations with ESPN to be allowed to, yes, do all these games for men's and women's basketball, but allowed to do other things to keep your name out there?
We're athletes. We always were like, we're fiending for feedback. And, everyone knows that when I show up, I want to learn, I want to grow, and I want to keep expanding myself. And I think that they all supported that same mission in me. And so like they were fully aware of my ambitions outside. They, as long as, they're like, hey, let's take a peek before you go and take it to anyone else. Like, okay, we really love this for you. We may not be ready for it, but we don't want to block your blessings.
You're doing NBA Countdown, you're doing WNBA Countdown. You're literally the only person that's able to do both men's and women's coverage. Do you sort of look and analyze the games differently, or do you sort of look at it the same? It's just the genders that are different.
Different animals, same beast, right? That was like the late great Kobe Bryant's phrase. It's interesting because like on one world I am NBA and I'm here fighting for elbow space with my boy Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins, and Malika is a fantastic teammate, and just being able to, like, that's family, right? Like, those are I didn't have brothers, right? So I have 3 sisters, and so I feel like I genuinely have brothers now because we started the show together almost 5 years ago, and it's just grown into a mainstay, which is awesome. I mean, the funny thing is we don't even talk about basketball anymore.
Really?
What do you guys talk?
What do you guys talk about? Talk about severance? What do you guys talk about?
No, it's politics.
Oh, yes, it's true. For
because
Stephen A,
literally the last few weeks, I'm like, Stephen A, yo, you're like polling at 2%. And then I'll text him, I'm like, Stephen A, you're pulling at like 4%.
Right.
And then he's like, he saw me, he sent me this article, he's like, yo, you see I'm at 7 now? And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, he has said though, like, he doesn't think he's going to end up doing it. I think it sounds like he's surprised that he's polling as well. But do you think he could do it? Do you think he could actually win the presidency?
I think he's already disrupting. Do I think he can win the presidency? He would tell you he would not want to because that sort of reveals how weak a certain party is.
Right.
But, at Stanford, I graduated with international relations major, a primary specialization in comparative international governance, secondary specialization in Africa. So I am very passionate and aware of the news and politics. And so we gravitate, because that's his passion too. And so we gravitate towards each other in that conversation. But I think he'd be the first to say, like, he does not necessarily want to run. But let me tell you this. I will tell you this.
He's probably loving the attention, though.
I will tell you this. I hope he makes the debate stage.
Me too.
Because I think he will more than hold his own.
Oh, there's no question.
There's nobody that is more prepared for a presidential debate format than Stephen A, in my opinion.
Sinead, thank you so much for joining us. And we got a lot more interviews coming your way. Stay with us here on Front Office Sports.
Here's a tip. Let's say you bet big on a 4-game moneyline parlay. Your first 3 bets have hit, but you're a little nervous about the last game. Consider placing a separate bet against the team you have winning in your parlay. You're technically a winner either way. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Front Office Sports today, as we're going to dive into the business of what's hot and what's not across sports. So let's play a little bit of buy or sell, starting in Major League Baseball with your team, the Colorado Rockies, who are currently on pace for a 100-loss season. They've got the 3rd worst record since the expansion era began. And you look at their record the last few seasons, under 500, and of course right now on pace to be worse than last season's White Sox, which was a historically bad season. So Baker, buy or sell, the Rockies are the worst run franchise in Major League Baseball right now.
As a Colorado boy, stings me so much. Okay, so as we just saw from the previous graphic, the worst record ever in Major League Baseball history is 20 wins. The Rockies right now on pace for 21 wins, 1 game better. The answer to this is yes. I am buying this as the worst run franchise in Major League Baseball. A lot of fans would say that the owners, the Momforts, do not invest a ton into the team. When they do, it's for players like Chris Bryant, who haven't played more than 60 games in a season. season. But attendance is there. The Rockies are at least in the top 20 in attendance every single year, even though the team is on pace for its 8th straight losing season. And as you mentioned, its 3rd straight 100 loss year. Yes, the Rockies emphatically are the worst run franchise. There is concern maybe that Rob Manfred should step in and help Colorado, maybe force the Monforts to sell the franchise, maybe to the Cronkies or the Waltons who own the Broncos. But as a Rockies closeted fan, this is so depressing to watch, and I kind of hate watch the games. It's so sad.
I have to agree with you. I just feel like for the baseball side is one thing. When you're statistically high in strikeouts, low in runs, low in RBIs, their pitching is very inconsistent. That's one aspect. But the fact they haven't even invested in their club is bad. I mean, they don't have a farm system that's as developed as such as a team like the White Sox. So where is the money going? They also have one of the 10th lowest payrolls across the league. Not quite sure what they're really doing aside from their City Connects. Is the only thing I know of what's going on with the Colorado Rockies.
And by the way, the City Connects are not well,
it's not great. Financially, it's not great. But at least they have a stadium.
All right. Speaking of stadiums, let's move on over the news from D.C. about the Commanders getting their new stadium in 2030. But it does look like it might have some roadblocks, Renee, as of course it has to be passed by the D.C. legislative branch. So buy or sell, Renee, the Commanders not going to play in the new RFK Stadium in 2030. One D.C. City Council member actually said if the vote was held today, it would not pass.
This is a classic Washington Football Club move. Excited off of their first NFC conference title run in over 30 years last year. Excited because they've got the rookie offensive player of the year in Jaden Daniels, their star quarterback, that they just launched. We're going to have this $3.8 billion proposal for a stadium. I actually think they will be playing in a new stadium by 2030. I just think that they're going to have to scale back. It seems that their chief counsel and their mayor still have some budget issues to work through to crunch some numbers. I think they're going to push to get back to D.C. and return back into the city, but I don't think it's going to be as lofty. Maybe the retractable roof or something else have to come off the table, but I think they will, I'm going to buy, they're going to be a new stadium by 2030.
So it's important. I'm with you too. I think I buy them getting into the stadium by 2030. As you see, $3.8 billion is the proposal that Josh Harris is putting in. $1.1 billion would be coming from state funds, from taxes.
And that's the issue.
And that's the issue. I think it might be scaled back from Muriel Bowser, the D.C. mayor's initial budget, that maybe it's less than $1 billion and it's more palatable to a lot of those city council members who are going to vote on this to say, well, at least it wasn't $1 billion.
Well, there may be uncertainty around when that stadium is going to be built or if, but there is no uncertainty about what's going on with Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. So let's see what's bubbling over at the water cooler, Baker. Now, at the end of February, it was reported that Hard Knocks on HBO would feature UNC's football program and head coach Bill Belichick. Exciting news for the program. But then days later, if the deal fell apart. Now, the HBO production initially said that it was because the conversation took a turn they didn't like. Come to find out, that conversation was 24-year-old Jordan, aka Jordan Hudson, girlfriend of Bill Belichick, who is also the chief operating officer of Belichick Productions, actively involved, and her involvement has been an issue for UNC and apparently for Hard Knocks to not want to do this feature.
Yeah, it seemed like, according to reporting from The Athletic, that the deal was in place for Bill Belichick to be featured on Hard Knocks, and within 24 hours of what they thought was going to be the announcement, basically it all fell apart. And as you mentioned, it had everything to do reportedly with Jordan Hudson wanting to be incredibly involved in the project. It's just showing you a whole nother level of what's going on with this relationship, because this could have been a big thing for the university, because North Carolina was going to get tons of exposure about him revamping and helping their football program. And there was hundreds of thousands of dollars that the university was going to be making on this as well. In addition to the exposure, we know how Hard Knocks has really helped with a lot of these NFL programs. It would have done the same for Belichick.
It's great for building a program that showed the behind the scenes of how that build happens, and also financially a lot lost there. So that is a big disappointment for UNC, but we will have an exciting guest joining us tomorrow in Ian Rappaport. Stay tuned for that here on FO West Today. See you then.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Lost Pages. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did Ames. You did Dr. J games.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in a very happy Wednesday to you. It is Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and we are getting ready for more playoff basketball as well as the Stanley Cup playoffs are underway. Elimination night on the table here for a couple of teams on the ice, including the Montreal Canadiens down 3-1 over the Washington Capitals. Capitals at home tonight trying to close them out, as are the visiting Florida Panthers, the defending Stanley Cup champs, on the road in Tampa tonight. Looking to get it done as well. And coming up the late game tonight, the Winnipeg Jets trying to figure out where it went all wrong. Nobody seems to want to win a road game here, as the Blues lost 2 in Winnipeg. The Jets, well, they lost 2 in St. Louis. Now they're back to Winnipeg, the all-important Game 5. What are we going to get there? And then as you flip it over, of course, to the NBA tonight, the Golden State Warriors, a 7 seed. That's right, a 7 seed, taking on the number 2 seed Houston Rockets. Another elimination game on the board here tonight. We saw a couple of teams last night handle their business and get it done. Of course, the Boston Celtics got it done at home against the Orlando Magic, and the Warriors looking to go on the road in Houston with quite the upset. Although we had mentioned before this series started that the Golden State Warriors were the only road team or the lower seed with actual minus money towards the series price. They were a 7 seed, and they were a slight favorite over the number 2 seed in the West, the Houston Rockets. And I think we're all seeing why that is, as the Houston Rockets, very good team, very young team, very inexperienced team. And that inexperience has been showing itself in every one of these games thus far, especially in the second half and when the game is on the line in terms of free throws, as the Rockets have somehow missed 35 free throws in these games here thus far, and many of those were in the second half when it mattered the most. But they are favored tonight, the Rockets, to send it back to Golden State, but they're going to have to win a few games in a row here, as the Warriors handled their business a couple of nights ago
and the Warriors are going to try to close them out. Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and try and get it done here for the Houston Rockets. Then tonight, of course, the Lakers with their backs against the wall. We got two games out in the Western Conference where the lower seeds, the Timberwolves, the 6 seed, taking on the 3 seed Lakers, and the Timberwolves are up 3-1. And there's just no denying that the Lakers, they got some issues. They got some things they need to clean up here, because in all likelihood, if they don't show up here tonight and they don't limit the Timberwolves in the second half, it's bye-bye for the Lakers, as the Timberwolves have not lost a second half spread in this series yet, which is mainly why they are up 3-1. So does LA have enough in the tank to be able to get it done here tonight and send it back to Minnesota? That is why we love the playoffs. Urgency all over the board as the money keeps coming in on the hometown Lakers. Very public favorite here tonight, laying that 6. We did see it get to 5.5 in some spots, but 6 seems to be the prevailing consensus. And the total, there seems to be a little pushback on this game tonight, as we saw it open at 210.5. It's been bet down a couple of times today. There is a line drawn in the sand between 209.5 and 210.5. So we've got competing markets rolling here with thinking that there is no way this game is getting over, while the over money keeps coming in here and pushing this ever so slightly back up over the 210-point mark. So a lot to get to here tonight in the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball. It's everyone's favorite getaway day here. We've had a ton of afternoon baseball, including the upset of all upsets. They got their 5th win. Can you believe it? I certainly couldn't, and neither could Chris Sale or anybody on the Atlanta Braves, who somehow managed to lose to a 4-win Colorado Rockies team on the road. My goodness, I think that line at some point earlier today reached minus 300 for the Atlanta Braves on the road. It just was not to be, as Chris Sale takes the loss. A 2-1 game in Colorado, of all things, as Colorado gets its 5th win of the season. In the meantime, the Dodgers and the Marlins continue to manufacture runs like nobody's business. 12-7 was the final in that game. The Dodgers handle business, sweep the Marlins in that spot here, but not without scoring a whole lot of overs, those two teams here in this series. A lot of runs on the board as the bats continue to stay red hot for the Dodgers. The Tigers avoided getting swept earlier today as well. 7-4 over the Astros. And in game 1, which feels like we were waiting for forever, as the Cardinals and the Reds were getting ready to do battle here, and the Cardinals came out and just blanked the Reds in game 1, 6-0. Game 2 coming up here any moment right now. We are also awaiting the first pitch, and I believe it just got underway here. The New York Yankees, talk about runs and home runs. Well, the Yankees are going to look to stay hot here after that unbelievable showcase of offensive power yesterday against the Orioles. Although the market doesn't seem to think the Yankees are the right side, as there's been nothing but Orioles money all day long. The lefty Povich on the mound there against Carrasco, who, believe it or not, has actually not been terrible for the Yankees. He keeps getting starts because the Yankees' rotation continues to be in flux with injuries. But he is going on the mound tonight against the Orioles, and he's actually had a pretty good career against the O's in years past here. We are also keeping an eye on the Twins and the Guardians. No score in that game, as they have split the first couple of games. And wouldn't you know it, what I say, all sorts of offensive power. And maybe, just maybe, you don't want to pitch to Aaron Judge in the first inning. I'm just going to throw it out there. Maybe, since the last time you saw him and faced him, he took you yard, and it looks like he just took good old Maury Povich to deep right center field for a 2-run shot. And just like that, the Yankees are on top, and they continue just absolutely destroying the baseball. 2-0 there, top of the first inning. We also have a couple of other games getting ready to go here. The Cubs and the Pirates are going to be underway. Matthew Boyd, the lefty, going for the Cubs. And let's face it, at this point, if you are hoping the Pirates are ever going to score enough runs in order to be relevant, I think we all realize you might be waiting a while. Game 2 of that Reds and Cardinals series also getting ready to go. Steven Matz is going to take the hill for the Cardinals in Game 2. They look to sweep both games here today in Cincinnati. The Nats and the Phillies in a nail-biter last night. You got to love a walk-off error for the Phillies, and that's how they ended up getting it done. We'll have much more on the full slate as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on a Wednesday. We appreciate you stopping by as we're getting ready for Elimination Wednesday in the postseason, as both the NHL and the NBA have games that are featuring teams that, one more loss, and it's bye-bye postseason. Let's see which direction we should be looking at in both as we welcome in our good friend Cam Stewart. Ready to roll here on Game Time Decisions. And it's just that, Cam, because backs are against the wall in a couple of NHL games tonight. Montreal kicking it off against Washington, down 3-1. Can Montreal go on the road? Can they be feisty enough to get this done with a backup goalie?
They can, but I'll tell you one thing. They're going to have to match Washington's physicality, Joe. And Thompson, the goaltender for Washington, has been absolutely stellar. Like I was thinking, Vegas, maybe like he's better than Hill. By the way, Joe, I'm looking for a new team after the Leafs debacle versus Ottawa not getting a goal. So I might as well join Stanley C. Panther fan club there, because I know one thing. I won't get disappointed with Stanley C. Panther as a friend. At least they do things well. But I will say this, Joe, Tampa Bay, they're not the type of team to lay down. You were at that game where literally everybody that had Tampa Bay in the under was like, this is perfect. And cue the music, 12 seconds, goal. And I was just like, okay, this is fun. And that's the thing about hockey. It could happen real quick. When they're scoring these multiple goals, they're usually happening in a span of like under 20 seconds. It's been nuts. And coaches now, they don't leave the goaltender for they'll pull the tender. You might let in 2 or 3 empty netters. So playing an under is a very dangerous game. But I do feel this way, Joe. I think for Montreal to be successful tonight, they're going to have to play tighter defense and goaltending. I laid a little bit of juice, but I got the 6.5 under. That's what I'm playing in this game tonight. I want to sprinkle on the Canadians, but the Capitals scare me. Joe's Stanley C. Panther, he's a great guy, but I'm going to ride the Lightning Metallica style tonight, minus 115. And a little fun bet tonight. A lot of overtimes in these hockey games, Joe.
Yeah.
The Blues murdered the Jets in St. Louis. I will take a regulation tie, plus 310 for the game to go to overtime. I'm expecting kind of a 2-2 game going to overtime, 3-2 final. The Jets have to tighten up. Hellebuck's been horrible, and the Jets are a better team at home. So I'm thinking this could be like a real tight one, and we have an overtime game. I have a feeling this game, if it goes to overtime too, could last a while.
Yeah, 32-7-4 at home, Winnipeg. Hellebuck's a different goalie there. I almost feel like that is going to be an under here tonight, but I mean, being outscored 12-3 in the last 2 games scares me a little bit here with Winnipeg. How about in the NBA tonight? Number 2 seed, the Rockets, about to get bounced by the 7 seed, or are they? Do they have a little life left in them here, Cam?
Hey, this is a little bit of a faith bet because I think that the series gets extended. I wish the number wasn't 4, Joe. Like, you can play it on the money line for people if you want to put like a 2-game parlay together to plus money and find another dance partner. But I do think the Rockets win this game by like 6. Like, just cover the number tonight and survive. I already have the Minnesota Wild to win that series against the Lakers. I bet it a long time ago. So that one I got in my back pocket. I really want to take them as well. But Joe, I am too much of a conspiracy theorist, as you know, and I always think, networks, money, this and that. And what the Lakers going out this early is probably not good for business. But maybe they lose this game and then maybe Minnesota takes them out a little bit later. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to let that one alone, play it live. But that's how I feel about the NBA. I'm taking Houston in the NBA. They're my play tonight, but it's going to be right around the number, I think.
Listen, I think if they win, they cover. It's that simple tonight with Houston. I'm with you there. And the Lakers, let's see what you got with a couple extra days off here. I've never seen, it's amazing to me, Cam. I don't know how Luka Doncic looks like the most out-of-shape dude I've ever seen in my entire life. For a guy that runs up and down and plays professional basketball, and it looks like he tackles the buffet harder than he plays. I don't understand it. The guy looks like a mess. And yet he is literally got to be the guy that's got to carry this Lakers team over the finish line. It's truly fascinating to me. The guy he's a one-man wrecking machine, apparently, at restaurants and on the court here, Cam.
I'll take the over. I'll take the over on pay for the buffet, and I'll take the over 2.5 burger bags. But that's the thing.
Yes.
I don't have to be thin when I work for sports. We're sports bettors and talk show hosts.
Correct.
This guy literally, like, Pharrell does more at his YMCA game, for God's sakes, against this guy. Like, you know what I mean? I posted up that guy and I put it right down in his face. Like, I'm seriously, I'm like, what are you doing? They're paying you this kind of money. Maybe get a Peloton instead of hitting the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Just saying, he's a great player, but that's the problem. It's his cardio and all this other stuff. And the Lakers bench reeks. Let's just call it out for what it is. There's nobody else that can step it up there. So yeah, it is what it is. I took Minnesota in the series, and I haven't done a lot of hockey's kind of stressing me out, Joe, but that's one I feel pretty good about right now. I'm not sure if they're going to get it done tonight, though.
I like it there, Cam. Also, what about this Mets team? Are we betting against them tonight? Does this streak come to an end? They are crushing the ball here, Cam.
I'm going to tell you something, Joe. This is a bet strictly online movement, and we did college shows before. So you're telling me the Arizona Diamondbacks that are like just lingering, under like that's and I'm looking, going, okay, so the Mets are a pick 'em or like a small favorite, like 115 to 105, whatever the line. It's nothing is budged. There's no more people betting on the Mets there. I'm just looking at the pitching matchup. I'm taking the Snakes tonight. It's just one of those situational plays where the line tells me what's going on. Also, Joe, you know a lot about baseball. I was doing some deep dives. Noah Cameron, fifth best prospect in the Royals organization, a lefty, going on the hill tonight. So that's going to be my pooch. Tampa Bay is hitting 209 against lefties, well, 269 against right-handers. So I think this kid won't be intimidated. He's going to go in there. He's a nice southpaw, very good prospect in their organization, and that price says they can beat the Tampa Bay Rays tonight. I hope he gets it done at plus 145.
Yeah, who are the Rays to be laying that kind of number against anybody, Cam? It's a little head scratching right there, and I'm with you. I think if it ain't broke, let's not fix it. I'll take the over in the Mets game too, as well, against the Diamondbacks. All right, Cam Stewart, you have been at the grind all day here. A lot's going on, including the Kentucky Derby. You got golf. We'll talk a little bit about it here as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number one, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number two, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable at 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Let's bring back in our good friend Cam Stewart because we got to talk some tournament golf here, the PGA Tour, as we gear up for the next major just around the corner. We got the CJ Cup, the Byron Nelson happening here this weekend. Coming off a Zurich that you called it here on the show, Cam. You love the pairing, and what do you like about this week here at the Byron Nelson?
There's a lot to like. Remember, Taylor Pendrith Fella, hey, it's the Prime Minister, Cam Stewart. Well, he's the real Prime Minister when he won that tournament there, and you usually got him around like 45, 50 to 1. I think a mid-tier guy can win this tournament. It's not chalk. We have one issue, though, Joe, and this issue presents pretty dangerous. Scotty Scheffler, a Texan, a Texas Longhorn in the state of Texas. But his number, plus 260, it's an unbettable number. And I know a lot of people say, hey, just like winners and other sports. Yeah, but there's a million guys in the field, and we can get that guy literally if he's like anywhere between like 4th and 8th, few shots back, you'll get a better number than that. So I'll wait on Scheffler if I have to do a hedge, but I really like I like a lot of guys this week, Joe. So I'm going to give you the board right now. I've been a big guy at when I'm winning money at the bar, when the Eagles win the Super Bowl. What do people get? Jaeger bomb. So I like Steven Jaeger at 38 to 1 this week. I know he's been one of my favorites. I really think he can get over the hump. Joe, I'm riding the Griff dog again. You know what? Yeah. He's been on the cuff. Second, they finally got it done together as a team with Andrew Novak. 48 to 1, he stays hot. Taylor Bridgman, as you know, has a great game, overall game, and this is a perfect type of track for him at 50. Jake Afternoon Nap. I should have had one today at 55 to 1, but he's been playing in great form. Hisatsune, the Japanese golfer, he's been like a top 10, 20 machine. Maybe he can break through. And my new favorite guy from Stanford, he sounds like a Dane. He's actually an American. Michael Theor Bjornsson at 100 to 1. And him and Carl Phillips finished 4th in the team event last week. I think they keep up the hot play.
I love this here, Cam. You got a little something for everyone here. Now, you have a first round leader for me. You are known for your first round leader cashing of tickets here, Cam. Well, who should we be looking at here, if anybody?
Yeah, like the top 10s and 20s are fun, and I usually play my guys in that top 20 region, but I'll do this quickly. So top 10s, I got Ben On right there at plus 240, and Sunjae M, who a lot of people like this week to win. Top 20, Ryan Gerard, one of the more underrated players on tour at plus 210. And I'm William Wallace, the Scot. No, it's Matt Wallace, the Brit. At plus, what do we got? 320 for Mr. Wallace.
Yep.
I had Gary Woodland, top 40. He withdrew. So, Joe, what do you need for your home repair? A Phillips screwdriver. Phillips.
Yes.
125 to 1 for a top 40. Sign me up. This guy's an underrated young stud on the PGA Tour. First round leaders, you ask for him, I'll give him. I got a lucky 7 for you, and we start at 60 to 1. The Afternoon Nap, it's popular. Cole Kane, why can't I get off this guy? But hey, he could be a first round leader this week. Actually, you got to reprogram me. Burnt Toasty, Alejandro Toasty. I can't believe his price in the tournament too. He's 90 first round leader. Matt Wallace finished 3rd in this event the other year, so I think he's going to play really, really well. 90. And my boys, we got Phillips Screwdriver at 100, Slam and Sammy Valimaki, a notorious hot starter at 100, and Riders on the Storm. Sam Ryder, Jim Morrison style, 110 to 1.
I love Toasty. You're right, Cam. I can't believe how. I mean, it's a big Argentinian guy, right? And he hits the ball an absolute mile. It's and he's 90 to 1.
Yeah, Joe. He also
90 to 1.
He was playing with some turkey, like some guy was slow playing him. He's like, do you want to meet in the parking lot? Like, I'll just tell you what you. It's me and my caddy versus you and your caddy, or we could just settle this together. Like, he goes wild. That guy's temper, we should call him the volcano. He's wild, but I'm telling you, Carver and I did a golf hit today. We're saying this guy should be in the 50 to 60 range. You're giving us 90? Like, I don't care. You play Toasty at that price because all he does is show up on leaderboards. That's what I'm thinking, Joe.
Yeah. And he was good. I think he was top 10 in Houston. I mean, his last 3 tournaments have been and the guy hits the ball an absolute mile, and that's going to help. That's going to help guys here on this one. So love it, Cam. All right, we've got Stanley C. Panther coming up here in just about an hour here, my friend. Don't worry about it. You don't have to sweat out Toronto until tomorrow, but we appreciate you taking the time as always, brother. Get some rest. Your night's just getting started here, my man. We appreciate it as always, Cam Stewart. Make sure you guys are taking note of those first round leader picks. Cam is notorious for cashing tickets in the first round, and we're notorious for coming back another hour. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable at 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. A very happy Wednesday to you as we are in the thick of it. First round of the playoffs continue here tonight in both the NHL and the NBA. And we've got 2 games set to happen in the NBA tonight, both elimination games as the Houston Rockets at home taking on the Golden State Warriors, the number 7 seeded Golden State Warriors, who had to have a play-in game just to be able to get to this point, and they have made the most of it against this very young Rockets team. And again, it's the inexperience that has really made the difference in this series with the Houston Rockets here. The 35 missed free throws, and most of those in the second half of games when the game was on the line, has really been the problem here. And listen, they are a very talented team, the Houston Rockets. They have a great coach. The one thing they've been lacking is, well, quite honestly, the experience that a guy like Jimmy Butler brings to the table, or Steph Curry or Draymond. You're not flat out a million times better than the Golden State Warriors. I think you gotta lose before you can actually win. And I definitely think the Houston Rockets, I had them as a year away from being a true contender. I think this year, unfortunately, I think their time is going to be up. Just could not have been a worse matchup for them in the Golden State Warriors as the number 2 seed. And keep in mind, the Warriors, 25-17 against the number on the road. Unbelievable. And, of course, the Golden State Warriors have a huge plus 15 advantage in the fourth quarter point differential. So, again, when the game is on the line and it matters the most, we know who we can count on and who we can't. And I think Houston early would be a great look here. Expect the Houston Rockets to do what they've done actually every game in this series, which is they've come out. They had the lead in the last game on the road. They have been extremely competitive in the first half. It's the fourth quarter and the second half in which things start to go the other way. So I'm going to take the Rockets in the first half here tonight. I am going to hope I'm hoping they're up a couple of points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, because I'm going to be looking for an opportunity to back the Golden State Warriors in the second half of this game. And the same holds true for the night game tonight, the late game, as the LA Lakers on the verge of being eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. The Lakers, a number 6 seed, a number 3 seed, Minnesota, the Timberwolves, the 6 seed, another not great matchup here for the Lakers to start this off. And call me crazy, Lakers early, Timberwolves late. If it ain't broke, I got no intention of fixing it here. Lakers have been good early, then they seem to kind of run out of steam. And like I had mentioned earlier, they have not lost a second half spread in this series, that being the Minnesota Timberwolves. So would not shock me at all if the Lakers have that lead at the half, and I'll be once again looking for an opportunity to back the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second half of this game. LeBron James, PRA, his points, rebounds, and assists. I saw it earlier this morning around 43.5. And was it me, or did he not look gassed at the end of game 4, where I believe pretty much nobody went to the bench? JJ Redick understands that he doesn't have any depth. He certainly doesn't have any size. He doesn't have the kind of physicality. He needs his guys to get it done. And boy, oh boy, did LeBron just look absolutely gassed in that game. But he did get an extra day off. And you're talking about a total that is hovering around the 210 mark here. So if the Lakers win, is this Lakers win likely to get this game to go over? Or is the under the way to look here? I saw some stats earlier today about home teams, home favorites who are down 3-1 in the playoffs. The numbers over 70% to the under in those games for those home teams. Backs are against the wall. They're going to leave it all out there. You know, you're not going to drop 120 on this team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. You got to win it by leaving it all out on the floor defensively. That means rebounds. That means keeping this thing and keeping them off the second chance opportunities here. So I expect a big effort from the Lakers here tonight, especially early at home. Time will tell whether or not that 43.5 for LeBron's PRA is too much, or if we underestimated what LeBron has left in the tank here. So a lot of different ways that we can look at these two games coming up, and we will do so throughout this hour as we try to point you in the right direction. But both of these games in the Western Conference tonight in the NBA, very similar in what the narratives and what's at stake here. So all eyes, especially the public eyes, will be on the LA Lakers here tonight. Quick update, by the way. The balls are flying out in Baltimore right now. I think we just got another home run here, and I think both shots in this inning, in the bottom of the second inning, off of Carrasco. Stop me if you've heard this before. 3-2 now, Baltimore on top. Judge hit a ball they're still looking for right now there at Camden, where they have absolutely no idea. He crushed it, and we might get a lot of runs in this game. So bottom of the second, 3-2 Baltimore on top of the Yankees. We do have other games coming up a little bit later tonight. Again, getaway day is a little tricky given the fact that you don't know who's going to be playing. Sometimes guys get a rest, especially if they've got to travel somewhere for another game here. So it's kind of tricky. But some of the games that we are certainly going to keep an eye on, Boston and Toronto, also just about to get underway here tonight. Big battle of the American League East teams there. Can Toronto get back on track and get it done? And the New York Mets and Arizona Diamondbacks, I think, is a fascinating matchup because you got Corbin Burns on the mound, and it's a bullpen game for the New York Mets, and the bullpen is not good for either of these two teams, and Corbin Burns hasn't exactly been great for the Arizona Diamondbacks. While he is definitely the ace, he hasn't pitched like it thus far here. 8.5, I think, is what we saw the total at. I would be shocked if we don't get another over in this game here tonight. Citi Field. We had the wind blown out last night. And yes, the bats of the Mets have been absolutely on fire. But the Diamondbacks, I mean, my goodness here. The Diamondbacks getting to go against this gas can of a bullpen that the New York Mets are forced to be working with injuries and calling guys up. I think they overperformed early in the season, and what we're starting to see now from this Mets bullpen is kind of what I thought we would get, but give them credit. The bats have really started to heat up here. The Mets, I believe, 13-1 now at Citi Field. At home, they have been great. But the big question is, what version of Corbin Burnes do we get tonight for the Arizona team? Either way, don't trust their bullpen, and the bats for both these teams more than capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark and manufacturing runs. So I like the over in that game. We'll have updates around Major League Baseball as Game Time Decisions on the grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know?
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions on this Wednesday. Gotta love this time of year, especially as we get ready to wrap up April of 2025. Woo, May is almost around the corner, which means, well, we are that much closer to crowning champions in both the NBA as well as the NHL. And I believe just about 30% of the Major League Baseball season is in the books right now, but we still got some great games coming up here tonight with maybe some edges here. Let's bring in our good friend George Kurtz in the house because George, I was at that Panther Tampa Bay Lightning game on Monday, and it was just out of control. You couldn't even go to the bathroom. Every time you did, somebody else scored there at the end. You're like, what in the world is going on here? But tonight, you've got the Panthers on the road in Tampa, experienced team. You and I have talked about this Panther, and every time people want to stick a fork in them for some reason, you end up getting like what you got on Monday night with them, where they just look absolutely suffocating. What do we get tonight in the all-important elimination game with them, the champs, on top 3-1?
Well, first off, thank you so much for bringing up that game on Monday. It was on Florida, but I was also on the under. So I did not appreciate the 18 empty net goals. I'm done with unders in the NHL playoffs. I've been complaining about this all week. I'm not betting any more unders. They pull the goalie just too early in all these games, and it's killing unders because teams are scoring 1 empty net goal, 2 empty net goals here. So I'm done. I'll take the overs here. I think Florida ends it tonight with no Ekblad, right? He got suspended for 2 games here. The biggest problem with Tampa Bay is they cannot score on the power play. They are 1 for 15. Remember, they had a 5-minute major in that game, right? And they didn't. I mean, it didn't come close. Right? They had trouble getting a shot on goal here. It was a weird game, right? The under was a lock, and then all of a sudden, both teams score back-to-back goals within seconds. It's like, oh yeah, thanks, guys. And the empty net goes there. I'll take Florida, and I truly believe that Florida wins the series, and there's no way Tampa's going to win 3 straight. They're going to the Cup again. I think they'll beat Toronto or Ottawa, and I think they'll beat Washington, Carolina. So for people who don't want to see Florida in the Cup, I'm sorry. I think I can't say this enough. The Florida Panthers are built for a 7-game series. It's what they do, So yeah, I think they're going back to the Cup.
I think they've got another gear, and I think they showed everyone that. They kind of head faked everybody heading into the postseason, right? With that last month of the season, they were resting guys, but my goodness, the minute the postseason started, a different ball club there. Also, listen, we've been saying it since the 4 Nations. Anybody been better than St. Louis? I mean, here we go with the President's Trophy curse again with Winnipeg. Congratulations on your regular season. Yeah, you had the best record. Is anybody going to win an away game here? Like, what's going on tonight with St. Louis and Winnipeg?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's in Winnipeg tonight, but I don't think Peg's winning in St. Louis. Those games weren't close.
I agree.
And St. Louis, by the way, has won 14 straight home games. All right, that's 14 straight. It's let you know Peg better win tonight. They better win tonight, and I don't know how you can trust Winnipeg. I bet St. Louis here. I'll take the Blues here. It's a great price, and I just don't see Winnipeg playing. They're not playing well right now. I sort of need to see them first before I trust them again. So yeah, give me the Blues on the plus 150 here. I'll take my shot. Winnipeg, I believe, is the better team. I don't think they're demonstrably better. I just think they're the better team here, but they're not playing like it right now. They're just not playing very well. And I think, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, they know what their history is. Their history is we win the President's Cup, and then we don't do well in the playoffs. And I think that once again they're feeling it again. So I think all the pressure's on Winnipeg. All right, I mean all the pressure is on Winnipeg here. It wouldn't surprise me if Peg wins tonight at home. But I'm betting St. Louis. I'll take the Valley. I think it's going to be another close game. Remember, those first 2 games in Winnipeg were very close. It wasn't like Winnipeg dominated. They won, but they didn't dominate. Kyle Connor, both games, scored the game-winning goal with under 2 minutes left in the game.
I don't think we've had an under yet. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The second game was the under. That was that 2-1 game. Everything else has been over. And this isn't new for Hellebuck, right? I mean, I saw goals against average over 4 the past 3 postseasons. He is just he's not showing up in the postseason, and that's a problem for Winnipeg.
He's been atrocious. All his numbers are terrible, and I mean they're awful here. This is not even a starting goaltender right now. He's having a lot of problems with shots from the point. He's just not seeing it, or he's not judging it, whatever it might be. But he's having a lot of problems with those kind of shots. And St. Louis is going to say, "Okay, fine, we'll just keep putting pucks on you. Just keep putting pucks on you." Like I said. It's hard. I don't know how you can bet Winnipeg tonight. You're laying that price for a team that hasn't played all that well. And as I said earlier, they did not dominate at home the first 2 games. They won them late. They might do that again tonight, but I'll take the value with St. Louis tonight in Game 5.
All right, so we've got a couple of Major League Baseball games going tonight, and you're going to look at Call me. I don't know why. Everyone's betting the White Sox. Have you seen it's been nothing but White Sox money against the Brewers here tonight. Are you in agreement with that, George?
I don't know if you're going to see me bet the White Sox all season. All right. This is a bad team. All right. It's like betting the Colorado Rockies, which, by the way, cost me my parlay this afternoon. Thanks. Actually, the Rockies didn't cost me. The Atlanta Braves cost me. The Rockies only scored 2
Yes.
runs. Braves, you got to do a little better at that in Coors Field. No, I am not betting the White Sox. Like I said, I mean, I guess it was one random Thursday night in the middle of the season. There's only like 2 Thursday night games. Maybe I bet the White Sox. But other than that, no. I took the Brewers tonight. Brewers are a good team. We're not talking. This is not a bad team we're talking about here. It's a good, solid team. Myers is going tonight. Once again, it is what it is. We don't have Peralta, but we got the best they can do, and I don't really like Smith. No, I'll take the Brewers here. And it's not like it's not a crazy price either. But that being said, I believe I got it at 164, and it has gone down a dime. So as you said, people are taking the White Sox.
I opened up 170 this morning, minus 170 this morning, and then I saw it as low as 136, 137. I'm going, my goodness, maybe the market knows something we don't here. But time will tell with that as the first pitch there coming up in about 20 minutes. George, always a pleasure, brother. Thank you for the time. Enjoy the games here tonight. We got no score, by the way. Montreal and Washington underway, and that elimination, Game 5 there. We'll have much more on this, plus the NBA playoffs, when Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable at 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we're getting ready for some playoff hockey as well as the playoffs in the NBA going to take center stage. We've got one game in the NHL underway right now, the all-important elimination game. Can Montreal back in the playoffs for the first time in a very long time? Can they stay in this and get it back to Montreal? We got no score right now as Washington was a big favorite there. We are just about 5 minutes away from the champion Florida Panthers, in fact, trying to eliminate their nemesis here in the Battle of Florida as they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning up 3-1. Can Florida get it done here on the road in Tampa? Well, they won the first 2 games on the road in Tampa. Can they get it done in this one here? But my goodness, you would think with how much love the Tampa Bay Lightning have gotten, the public is all over the Lightning, but the market has flipped the favorite. Tampa opened up as a small favorite, and now the Florida Panthers are the favorite. So the market has absolutely flipped. Tampa opened up as a minus 115, 113, 115 favorite. Yeah, that's flipped now. Now the Panthers are laying the minus 113, minus 115 on the road to close it out. And then I think the game of the night is going to be that St. Louis Winnipeg. And if you're looking for a dog tonight, St. Louis could very well be that dog that takes it home and gets them up 3-2. Do not like what we've seen from Hellebuck. We mentioned it. The past 3 seasons in the postseason have been horrific. Over a 4 goals against average when he is in net in the postseason over the last 3 seasons for Winnipeg. Some guys have it, some guys don't. And he has looked absolutely pedestrian here for a guy that was just absolutely unbeatable during the regular season, especially at home. Looks anything but now. And you got old Binnington on the other side who knows what it's like to get hot and help his team ride right through to a Stanley Cup championship. He's got the ring, and he has been standing on his head, as this St. Louis team has been doing ever since they broke from the 4 Nations All-Star Tournament, or whatever it is that you want to call that. Going to be some great, and I mean great hockey coming up here over the next couple of hours. And then in the NBA, get ready for it, as the opening tip is coming up between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. And the Houston Rockets right now still hovering around a 4-point favorite. It was as high as 4.5 I believe it was high as 4.5 earlier today. But the problems, and we've talked about it with this Houston team, is the second half and their inability to show up when it matters the most. And that has been the problem for them, is that this young team just can't seem to show up and make the big bucket or get the big free throw when they need it. On the other side, well, Jimmy Butler certainly has handled his business here, coming off a game in which a lot of folks didn't think he was even going to play because of the hip contusion and the fall that he suffered there in game 2. Well, guess what? He showed up and he dominated, and he did it all. Jimmy Buckets does what he does. And trust me, as a guy here in Miami that experienced the Jimmy Butler phenomenon up close and right through to a championship, Jimmy Butler in the biggest moments is a guy I want my money on this time of year. And you can see how those series prices have absolutely got flipped on the head. But keep in mind, the Golden State Warriors were a slight favorite before this series started. And then, of course, Jalen Green showed up in game 2 in Houston. And boy, oh boy, what a price you could have gotten on the Golden State Warriors heading into game 3 with no Jimmy Butler. But that has flipped. And now, as you can see, the Golden State Warriors are your second favorite to win the Western Conference, just under the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. But can we just be serious for a minute? Why are we really all sleeping on the Denver Nuggets? Just saying. I think the Clippers did last night. How did that work out? We'll have more on it as Game Time Decisions continues on the Grid.
knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and we are excited. Not only do we have the Stanley Cup playoffs underway, the NBA playoffs also happening here, Major League Baseball 30% way through its season, and we did just get a goal by the Washington Capitals, by the way, 1-0 over the Montreal Canadiens, who are on the road trying to keep their season alive. But they're going to have to come from behind now, down 1-0. Also, let's not forget, we got winners here on Game Time Decision, especially when it comes to the PGA Tour. Why? Because Brady Cannon comes here every Wednesday, every week, and joins us and just doles out winners. And he did it again last week with Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin. What were they, 20-1, 21-1 pre-tournament with the Zurich, and I thought they were going to blow it on Sunday, but they held on to get it done there, Brady. So another winning call by you, my man. Great job there, but boy, they made it interesting, didn't they?
Oh, they sure did. You know, these guys trying to get their first PGA Tour victory, I thought it was going to all come crashing down, but and we've seen Novak do that before. You know, I've been on him a couple of times when he finished runner-up, when he finished third, and I wrote about it. I said, you know, maybe he just needs a wingman to help him across the finish line, and I think that was the case for both of these guys. It's the first time PGA Tour victory for both Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin. So nice victory there. Yeah, anywhere from 22 to 25 to 1. And our colleague Mike Carver was on the duo there in New Orleans as well. So a good week for the SportsGrid golf crew.
Yes, it is. Always is, though. It's been a heck of a season. We look to keep it rolling as the PGA Tour heads to Dallas for the good old Byron Nelson. Well, I mean, this used to be in Las Colinas when I remember it there. And a lot of guys very familiar. Jordan Spieth lives around the block, it feels like. You got Scotty Scheffler playing in this tournament here now, which a lot of people are scratching their head given the odds that he's looking at. But this has always been a tournament where not exactly the chalkiest of chalk here, Brady. So what are we looking at the Byron this time?
Yeah, you know, I think there's two different ways you can go with your handicap here. Is Scotty Scheffler going to show up and be the Scotty Scheffler that we are used to seeing for the past 2 seasons? He's not only the best player in the world, he's clearly the best player in this field. I don't like the number. I'd like to see him more like 5-1. He's, 3-1. I've even seen him lower than 3-1 in some spots, but I understand it. If you want to just, shove your chips all in on Scotty Scheffler this week, it's probably worth a shot, but I'm going to go the other direction. Because if he doesn't win, I think you've got, God, I think you're going to get a longer bomb to win. I mean, after Scheffler, you've got Spieth at 20-1, Soon JM, Benny on. I'm just not, I kept trying to find one of the shorter shots at the top of the board this week, and I didn't end up on anybody shorter than 55-1, and I'm not all that thrilled with that pick. And Jake Knapp, I've got him at 55-1. I think he makes a lot of sense for this golf course. He should have won the thing last year. He shot 2 straight 64s, and then he fell apart a little bit on Sunday and couldn't close it out, fell down to 8th place. But I've found out since that he's very popular. He is number 3 as far as the highest ticket count percentage at BetMGM. He is 3rd on that list. Scotty Scheffler and Jordan Spieth are 1, 2. Jake Knapp is 3rd. Knapp is also the 2nd biggest liability at BetMGM. And I don't like to be on those guys. I like to be on people that are a little bit less popular. And that's where the rest of my selections are for the most part. And I think if it's not Scheffler this week, Joe, I think you're going to get somebody that's 50, 60, 80, 100-1.
And it's a new course because I think it moved to McKinney, right, at TPC Craig Ranch over the last couple of years, I think since 2021. So it's a little bit different of a course here. But again, it's one of these where what are we looking at? 20 under to win with these kinds of bomb tournaments? What are we thinking, Brady?
Yeah, it's a very easy golf course. This is the 5th time in a row that they've played TPC Craig Ranch. You're right. It's in McKinney, Texas, about 30 miles north of Dallas. When they first arrived here, very, very wide fairways, bent grass greens, big, long course, almost, 7,500 yards is what it used to be. Now they've changed it a little bit. They made it longer. It's almost 7,600 yards. They've grown the rough out a little bit from like 2 inches to about 3¼ inches, and they've narrowed the fairways a little bit. So they're trying to make it a little bit tougher, but apparently the odds makers don't think it's going to be a whole lot tougher because the winning score proposition bet this week at the Westgate Superbook, 22.5 under par. So I think, Joe, that they're adjusting for about a stroke or two. Maybe it was 2 shots easier before the renovation. Now a couple of shots more difficult, but I still think you're looking at, low 20s for a winner here this week. I think you're going to get a soft golf course. There's been a little bit of thunderstorms in the area, supposed to get some more on Friday possibly, and not a whole lot of wind. I think typical for Texas this time of year, 10 to 15 miles an hour. So yeah, I think you're going to get some low scores. I don't think there'll be, how it is. These guys are so darn good. Yeah. You've got to have major championship caliber golf courses to really test these guys.
So we've got some big numbers for an outright. Any top 20 markets, any value in these here, Brady? Because it feels like it could be wide open in that market as well.
Yeah, I always like to play my outright selections for a top 20 finish as well. And I typically don't just take a guy, off the board out of nowhere for a top 20 finish. The way I look at it is if I think these guys are good buys to win the whole thing, why not also play them for a top 20? It's kind of like hedging your bet a little bit. And I risk more money on the top 20 finish than I do the outright. The outright is the smallest bet I make. That's a needle in a haystack. And then I'll bet 2 or 3 times that amount on the top 20 finish. So I mentioned Jake Knapp, and these guys are all good prices to finish top 22. Knapp, I got at 55-1 for the outright. Taylor Moore at 66-1 for the outright. He's very much like Jake Knapp, where he's excellent off the tee and he makes a bunch of birdies. It's a birdie fest. You got to go with guys that can fill it up with the putter and make a bunch of birdies. And then this guy's kind of out of left field, but he's been playing really, really well. Rico Hoey, 2 top 15 finishes in his last 4 starts. 80-1 for Hoey, one of the best in this field this week off the tee. And then this one kind of caught my eye. Joel Damon at 100-1. You probably remember it was just a couple of weeks ago that he threw up all over himself. He blew the golf tournament. He was leading, should have won, made a bogey on the last 3 holes of the tournament, missed like a 2-foot putt, and that's hard to recover from. But here we are 2 weeks later. I think he's been able to put that in the rearview mirror. He's been doing everything so well this season, Joe. He makes a lot of sense in the stats that we're looking at this week. And I think we're getting a good price on him because people are still kind of writing him off of that really disappointing finish a couple of weeks ago in the Dominican. But I think Damon might be ready to contend again and bounce back here. So I think 100-1 is pretty juicy. Lee Hodges, another guy that, I mean, there's so many guys this week. Hodges at 100-1, and then my real long bomb, Matty Schmid at 150. Because Scotty's at 3 and Spieth's at 20, everybody else that's any good in the field is like, we start at 50-1. And that's kind of where I started. All my guys are anywhere from 50 to 150-1. I do believe if it's not Scotty, we're going to get a long bomb this week in McKinney.
And I know quickly, the Live Tour, is it, I believe, overseas
Korea.
there. What are we looking at? John Rahm?
I took Rahm, but Bryson DeChambeau's let me down in 2 out of the last 3 starts, so I went with Rahm, Burmester, and then a long bomb with Harold Varner III in Korea. That one starts on Thursday night.
I love it. Brady Cannon, always a pleasure, my man. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable at 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we get ready to close out April of 2025. May is here 24 hours from now. And before we say goodbye to April, we got a lot of other things going on here tonight, including, I believe, now a 2-0 Washington lead over the Montreal Canadiens, who are looking at a 4-1 loss here in the series to this Washington Capitals team if they can hold on. We also have the NBA playoffs underway right now. Houston out in front of Golden State trying to extend their season. They too are in an elimination game, but 15-8, they have come out here and taken a shot at the Golden State Warriors. And the good news is all of these games will be covered coming up here top of the hour, in-game live with our next guest, Scotty Wetzel, in the house. We'll pass the baton to you there, Scotty, coming up top of the hour. But first, start with the Golden State-Houston game here. How are you leaning in this one?
Yeah, good news, bad news, right? Good news is the way I was leaning is going well. The bad news is, unfortunately, they bumped the line up to 8.5 right now, which is really, for a game that's 3-4 minutes old. I'm a little surprised it's that high. But I did like Houston, Joe. I like both Houston and the Lakers tonight. Something tells me that these two teams, they're too good to fall behind and lose in 5 games. You take a step back. Both are at home. I know Houston has really been disappointing. One way you could still capitalize if you don't want to lay the 8.5 with the Rockets, which I fully get. I did like Jalen Green a lot. He has been just atrocious for the Rockets. And if they end up losing this series, let alone tonight, they're going to circle him. The guy averages 21 points a game, and he's scored less than 3 out of the 4 times. I mean, that is just amazing, right? You can have one bad game, but he's had 3. So I really thought he was going to bounce back. So if you can get his number anywhere close to 16.5, I think he's good for 20 plus, and you probably still can. So again, if you don't want to lay the 8.5, then maybe you go that way. And I would expect the same thing out of the Lakers tonight, Joe. Nothing better to see LeBron and company lose. Oh, that would be so sweet, right? Especially on their own home court. We're the fathers of the Minnesota team cups. I would take that. Where's Mr. Halliburton? We need him. But that said, I don't think they will. I think they win. I think they win handily, kind of like they did in Game 2. Minnesota, a lot of veteran players, but it's hard to win a series in 5 when you got the 5th game on the road. So I think the Lakers at least keep it a series.
So it's interesting, too, because, Minnesota opened up the favorite in that series. Obviously, now I think they're about a 5-1 favorite to win this series. It's interesting with Golden State because if Golden State loses, has to go back to Golden State, or should we be looking at a Houston possibility of winning too? They're much better at home, obviously, than they are on the road. They're still a 2 seed, are they not, Scotty? I mean, they still are the 2 seed.
Yeah, I mean, they are, Joe, but if you look at the standings, they're 3 games from being a number 6 seed. Everything was so jumbled in the Western Conference that, it's not like they're the second best team by a landslide. They're the second best team by a couple of games, and who knows, half these teams weren't even trying to win the last week and a half. In case in point, they're trying to situate themselves on who they want to face, like in the East, right? If you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, good, phenomenal season, right? But what's your reward? You got to face Indiana. Meanwhile, Boston finishes in 2nd place, and they get to face either Detroit or the Knicks. I can't help but think if you did a draft, Indiana would not be the first choice for Cleveland. So you don't know how these things really, iron themselves out as far as technically, they were the number 2 team, but in reality. I think they win tonight, but I don't think they win. They're not going to win 3 in a row, which is what they would have to do to beat Golden State.
Have
they're
to
not
do
gonna that. Yeah.
Yep. They kind of dug themselves a hole there for sure. All right, we got a score. It looks like Tampa comes out, scores first. They're up 1-0 on the Florida Panthers. Elimination game for Tampa. I was at the game on Monday, Scott. It was just absolute craziness. It was a dead under until, of course, it wasn't. Yeah. Same situation here. You got to like Tampa's chances with the experience, maybe to get this back to Sunrise, Florida, but the chance of them winning 3 in a row is kind of, nil as well here.
Yeah, I love Florida in the series, Joe, but I didn't love them in 5. I didn't think they would win in 5. They have these series bets, how many games the series are going to go, and over 5.5 was the number for all of them, and I really love the over on this one. So we got to sweat this out a little bit tonight. But I like Tampa Bay tonight. So that's good to hear they're out to a 1-0 lead. Don't be afraid to lay a goal and a half just because of the empty net situation. And you're right, that was crazy the other night. We're sitting on an under. It's no score 10 minutes into the second period. I mean, how could you lose on 5.5, right? And then you get Lightning striking twice as you get to 2 goals in 11 seconds for both teams. So you're never over on an over, as the saying goes. But I did like Tampa Bay tonight. I don't think, like I said, they're going to lose, in 5 games. And I like Winnipeg in the second game. It's a big number, right? I mean, St. Louis is kind of a live dog, but so was Montreal, and they're down 2-0. They're going to lose. I can't see Winnipeg losing. They're 14-4, their last 18 against St. Louis, so I think they get the job done at home tonight.
St. Louis has just been absolutely on fire, and Hellebuck has been a mess in the playoffs for sure. All right, what are we doing in Major League Baseball here tonight? I cannot believe the amount of money coming in on the White Sox, Scotty. It's been, you can get them down to what? Milwaukee's now minus 135, minus 140. What's going on here?
Is Wilbur Wood, coming out of the bullpen for the White Sox tonight? I'll date myself. I mean, the Whites, they're 11-1. Listen, the White Sox suck, right? So they're going to have a bad record against everybody. But Milwaukee is 11-1 their last 12 games against the White Sox. They beat the crap out of this team. So give me the White Sox, and I'm going to go under Oakland and Texas, 8.5. A's game did go over last night, but they're still 13-2 under this season at home. Number 1 under team in all of baseball.
Like that as well there, Scotty. And you'll cover all these games coming up for In-Game Live. So appreciate it as always, Scotty. We got a lot of runs in this Yankees-Baltimore game coming as well. We'll wrap it up. Game Time Decisions on the grid.
Knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable at 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's In-Game Live, your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we look to wrap up this edition together. We are getting ready, of course, Scotty Wetzel, Dave Sherapan and company coming up in-game live. They will have all the action for you here tonight, including The Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning struck first, but didn't take Florida long. They have now tied it up with about 13 minutes to go in the first period. It is 1-1 in that one. Washington, coming to the end of the first period, is up 2-0 rather on the Montreal Canadiens. That series as well, 3-1. So both Tampa Bay and Montreal trying to stave off elimination at the end of their season. Washington and Florida are in control of those series here. We also have a couple of other things going on, including it looks to me like the Houston Rockets have decided they don't want their season over just yet. They are out to a 31-13 first quarter run right now. 31-13, 4.5 minutes to go. You can get Golden State at 14.5 points right now. And listen, I may be crazy, but Golden State is not going to roll over here. Are they going to lose by more than 14? Now would be the time you might want to consider jumping in if you think Golden State's got a run in them, because 14 points with 4.5 minutes to go in the first quarter is a ton of points for a young Houston team to be laying here. We are also getting ready after that game for the Lakers, trying to do the same thing, trying to stave off elimination, down 3-1. They are home tonight, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who seem to pretty much have their way with this team, with the Lakers here. Lakers looked really good for about 3.5 quarters, and then it felt like and looked like the wheels kind of fell off there. So we are going to look forward to that game. But the big question now is that does Golden State have a run in them? Can they get back into it here with a 31-13? They are on a media timeout here. So that game is going to be an awful lot of fun to watch how it progresses. Of course, Major League Baseball as well underway, as we've got finally a score with the Guardians in Minnesota. 1-0. The Guardians have finally scored. What a pitcher's battle between Lopez and Ortiz in that game. We also now have another home run by the Yankees. Shocker. Stop me if you've heard that one before, too. So it does look like it is a 4-3 Orioles game right now. The benches had cleared a little bit earlier there. Some guys getting thrown at. So a little testy right now in the Orioles and the Yankee game, but it is 4-3 in there. And also we've got Boston on top of Toronto 4-0 in that one. That game is now heading to the bottom of the second. So it didn't take long for Boston to get out in front. Giolito on the mound. There's a blast from the past, huh? Lucas Giolito on the mound for the Red Sox. 1 game rather, getting ready to start here coming up after the top of the hour, and that's going to be the Athletics taking on the Rangers. Severino taking on Eovaldi there, total hovering around 8.5, I think, right now. Still hasn't moved a whole lot, but Texas, they too are kind of like a walking mash unit, that lineup there. But it's been low scoring, to say the least, here with them. They ended up getting the game done last night with DeGrom on the mound. Can they get it done for Eovaldi here tonight? That game, of course, is in Texas. They're in Arlington. So you got a little something for everybody. You heard us telling you earlier how could not believe the amount of money coming in on the Chicago White Sox. Earlier today, the line opened up -170 as Milwaukee is the favorite on the road, and it closed right around -138. So that is a big move here towards the Chicago White Sox. And what did Milwaukee do? They promptly went out and scored 2 runs in the top of the first inning, and that's where we're at right now, 2-0 on top. I am seeing also that out of that timeout, looks like the Houston Rockets' Jalen Green is questionable to return now. Wait a minute. Looks like banged his knee there. He is listed as questionable to return. Definitely something to keep an eye on. The good news is In-game live is coming up next here on the grid. We'll see you again tomorrow for Game Time Decisions.